Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to News Talk with yours truly, Chris Anu, from the great state of Texas, Houston, Texas, to be precise. A lot happening today. In Nigeria, citizens have gathered at the National Assembly to demand transparent transmission of electoral results going forward in that country. Back in Amazonia, 4 people are shot to death. Back in Ntungbaw, you remember in Ngarbuh? That is where that is happening. And also in Amazonia, also this time in La République du Cameroon, Issa Chiroma may be on his feet, ready to pack back to Cameroon. Those are the stories that I bring to you tonight. Please stay put. I'll be right back.
The West lectures the world about democracy, then it bankrolls dictators. It condemns oppression, then it congratulates stolen elections. In this book, The Hypocrisy of the West, veteran journalist Chris Anu exposes the double standards that define modern global politics. From Africa to the Middle East and beyond, Western powers present themselves as champions of freedom, while quietly propping up tyranny in the name of stability and strategic interest. This book pulls back the curtain. Why dictators are rewarded after rigged elections. How human rights become optional when power is at stake. Why some wars provoke outrage and others silence. How selective justice shapes the global order. Written in a bold, direct, and uncompromising voice, The Hypocrisy of the West is not a theory, it is a reckoning. It challenges official narratives, names uncomfortable truths, and forces readers to confront a world governed by convenience, not principle. You should read this book if you have ever questioned why some dictators are sanctioned while others are celebrated. Get your copy of The Hypocrisy of the West today on Amazon.
All right, once more, thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. If you are joining by way of YouTube, please go ahead, hit your subscribe button so that you can get the notifications each time we are live. We are live every site. You would be helping us to grow the platform if you can hit the subscribe button. If you're watching by way of Facebook, please also hit the share button. Let others know that we are live at the moment. Unfortunately, for those who should be watching us by way of satellite television in all of Africa, we are off satellite as we come to you today. By the end of this program, I will be making a very special appeal for support for our satellite broadcast. But for the moment, I'd like to take you to Nigeria first again, where something is happening there. Citizens gathered at the National Assembly protesting and demanding that the National Assembly and the Senate enact a law that warrants or demands that election transmission be done by digital means every election season in that country, not through transferring ballots to a certain location for counting and collation, but a one electronic transmission from the polling stations, not transportation. We're going to come to that story. But again, also, we will be going to Ngarbuh, where early this morning, Cameroon soldiers stormed the village of Ngarbuh, the village of Ntungbaw, and killed. At the end of the day, 4 people are said to have been killed. 2 were killed instantaneously at gunshots. Others died from wound shots from the Cameroon army. I will take you to that story, but also, is Issa Chiroma ready to go back to Cameroon to reclaim his victory? I will bring you that story. I start with you from Nigeria, where I would like you to stay put a little bit and listen to these reports coming to us from Nigeria, courtesy of our correspondent Caroline Ame from Abuja. Listen to these interviews, please.
Prof, please. So my 25,000 francs who are alive, I want you to please listen to Prof. Prof, what do you have to say? Is Nigeria getting to where?
Yeah, in Nigeria, we are all different people, different organizations come together, and we are all sitting. Some people just came in on their own. There are people who say they came in from Adamawa and they just saw that there's something going on, and they decided to come in today. And some people are just passing and they're standing. Just to say to everyone that we are citizens, we are not slaves. And as citizens of this country, power belongs to the people.
Yes, sir.
The office of the citizen is the highest office in the land. For too long a time, the Nigerian people have been disenfranchised. Billions are spent on elections, people vote, and at the end of the day, their votes are subverted. And Nigerians are saying enough is enough. Enough of all of that. We voted people into the National Assembly. We have a representative democracy. That then means that not all of us can make decisions. Not all of us are in power. We have certain people, and that's why once every 4 years, there is election for people to elect the people that will represent them. When we have at the National Assembly, instead of representatives of the people, unfortunately they have turned themselves to the mouthpiece of the executive, and that must not be allowed to happen. Electronic transmission of results is sacrosanct. It is not something that is not whether Senate likes it, what the Senate must do it, and that's it. We as the employers of the members of the National Assembly, we are saying to them, we want electronic transmission of results. Simple. And the National Assembly has the power to pass it into law. I know a lot of people will say, what if there is no assent? Yes, the Constitution, the way it is structured, allows for the bill, when it is passed, to be sent for a president. And you know my stance on the fact that Nigeria does not have a president. For the president to assent, and where a president refuses to assent, the National Assembly has the power of 2/3 to veto it and pass it into law. And so therefore, we are saying to the National Assembly, especially the senators who are coming out and playing victims, none of you is a victim. All of you are complicit in this. You are either active participants or passive participants in disenfranchising Nigerians. Let us not think they are playing good cop with us. Oh, there are some that are on our side. They are saying that that they did not know what happened. The result was changed. They did one thing. Look, Akpabio does not have two heads. Akpabio is first among equals. Akpabio was put in there, but
all right, ladies and gentlemen, you are looking there at images emerging from Abuja, Nigeria, where pro-democracy protesters today besieged Nigeria's National Assembly in Abuja, demanding that lawmakers explicitly mandate real-time electronic transmission of election results in the amended Electoral Act of Nigeria. The demonstrators gathered early at the main entrance of the National Assembly complex, following reports that the Senate had rejected a clause making electronic transmission of results compulsory. Their action reflects growing concern that the absence of clear language in the law could undermine the credibility of future elections in Nigeria. Protesters insist that the Electoral Act must expressly include the phrase real-time electronic transmission of results to to eliminate ambiguity and prevent discretionary interpretation by electoral authorities in Nigeria. According to them, anything short of this would weaken election transparency and open the door to election manipulation. Carrying placards calling for credible elections and transparent governance, the demonstrators vow to sustain pressure on the Nigerian lawmakers until their demand is clearly reflected in the final version of the bill. The protest comes amid ongoing controversy surrounding the Nigerian Senate's handling of the Electoral Act amendment. Although Nigerian lawmakers have maintained that they are not opposed to electronic transmission of election results, protesters argue that such assurances are insufficient unless they are unambiguously written into the law itself. Security around the National Assembly in Abuja was significantly tightened today, with personnel from the Nigerian Police Force, the Nigerian Army, and the Nigerian Security and Defense Corps deployed to maintain order. Vehicular movement around the complex was partially restricted also. As of the time of this report, the protests remained peaceful, with demonstrators urging legislators to act in the public interest and align Nigeria's electoral laws with global best practices by guaranteeing real-time electronic transmission of election results. The protesters say they will continue to mount pressure on the National Assembly until their demands are fully addressed. Again, this protest is specifically, ladies and gentlemen, about electronic digital transmission of election results in Nigeria from polling station to the collation centers, wherever they may be. Nigerians are saying we no longer support the idea where election results, the ballot, the collation in different polling stations are driven to wherever they are then collated before results announced. They want a situation where the results are transmitted electronically and immediately from the polling stations to the collation center to avoid fraud and rigging. Now listen to what some of these Nigerians interviewed by our correspondent Caroline Ame had to say about this in Nigeria. Listen to it.
Oh yeah.
So my name is Prince Kwano Augusta Mpushi. I'm the Delta State Director of the Conference for the Actualization of Human Rights. I'm a civil society leader back home in Delta State, and I'm here today to express the frustration of the Nigerian people against this very National Assembly. What are we saying? We are saying that we want real-time electronic transmission of vote, that when people are voting, that the vote should be transmitted online, so that we know that the vote are not tampered with. Not a situation where you do it manually. When you get to a collation center, you tamper with it. Then we are wondering, why did the Senate presidency, led by Senator Godswill Obot Akpabio, change transmission to transfer? What was his motive? Nigerians are asking questions. It's a very critical question that we must ask at this time. It is not funny at all. The people are demanding that votes should be transmitted electronically. What is adding in that? The Senate President, Mr. Senate President of the Nigerian Senate, should come out and address Nigerians. So,
comfortable for all our citizens, and that's why we're here, just for one purpose, for the electoral reform. We don't think it's too much to ask the Assembly to do. Just do that which is right and that which is needful. Pass the electoral reform. I mean, it is simple to say electronic transmission of results, real time. That's all that we ask for. And if this government is fair to ourselves, I think it's one thing that they should pass without any itch. And so we challenge the Senate President to do the needful. I mean, this is what Nigerians want. And And if you are there to serve Nigerians, then we think that it's one of the most easiest things for this National Assembly to do. The Senate, 109 senators, you cannot determine the fate of the entire over 240.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what you find Nigerians fighting for in that country is exactly what Cameroonians were promised. Do you recall Eric Chinje on this platform, Rebecca Enonchong on this platform, on this channel, telling Cameroonians during the October 12 presidential elections, you got nothing to be afraid of. You got nothing to be concerned about. Election fraud isn't going to happen anymore in Cameroon because they said they have devised a means, a digital means of transmitting election results from the polling stations to where they should be collected. The idea, they said, where election counting collation are transported from one polling station by vehicle to another collation center is no longer going to happen, they said. But after the election, we realized it was an exercise in futility. It never worked. It did not work. But here, Nigerians are fighting. They are telling their senators and their parliamentarians that idea, that thing where elections are conducted and you guys now go ahead and change the results is not going to happen again. We want election results to be transmitted electronically to the collation center so that nobody has access to it. Nothing is changed. If anything is changed, they would have known it was changed at the collation center in Abuja or Lagos or wherever it may be. I am being joined here, ladies and gentlemen, by Comrade Kennedy Ijacha. I'm also being joined by Sama Thomas and Metro Alex Lisenge from London. Before we move to Ntungbaw, where Cameroon soldiers early this morning killed 4 Ambazonians in cool blood, I'd like you guys to give me your take on what you are watching in Nigeria. Again, before the October presidential elections in Cameroon, Cameroonians were told, Eric Chinje said it, Rebecca Enonchong said it, that there is no way they can steal elections in Cameroon anymore because they have phantomed out an idea how those elections can remain uncorrupted. Now, watching what happened in that election and seeing what Nigerians are saying here, I would like your thoughts on this. Kennedy Ijacha, pleasure to have you back, sir. I think you are muted on your end.
Yes, I'm sorry. I think you're getting me now.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Chris, for getting me on your program once more. And I'm very elated by what I'm seeing happening in Abuja, Nigeria. This is the kind of things that I've always preached for when it comes to the situation in Cameroon. And your listeners or those who watch your network, they certainly will agree with me that I had raised very serious concerns with regards to the declarations or statements that were being issued by Chiroma's surrogate, notably the very respectable Eric Chinje or Rebecca Enonchong, because I saw a lot of naivety in their approach. They probably, like every other Cameroonian, know what needs to be done, but they don't have a grasp of the process to achieve what needs to be done. And that is where all the debate is. And that's why I'm saying right here that, we cannot crook our way through a crooked system. What we need to do is to be very methodic, structured, and persistence. That lack of persistency is the key problem that has been hampering any meaningful change from occurring in Cameroon. How can you see people who are, right-minded people at the eve of an election endorse someone who has been very involved in the making of the system that has dominated Cameroonians for 43 years now. So what were the guarantees? Zero guarantee. And that's why right now in Cameroon, the debate, if you watch very well what's happening, the debate is not on how we can secure the vote of Cameroonians, how we can push the regime into a situation where Cameroon will be made ungovernable. And when I say it, I'm very intentional, making Cameroon ungovernable. And it is possible if we have leaders come together and chart a way. It's possible. See, if the cost of maintaining this crooked electoral system gives dividend over changing the system for the regime would always take what is at its advantage. So it is at the advantage of the regime in Cameroon, just as the regime in Nigeria as well. It is to their advantage that the status quo be maintained. But those that know very well that the status quo cannot produce to us what we want, so what do? We need a paradigm shift in how we approach this thing. And it must be methodic, persistent, and Cameroon must be ungovernable. It must be expensive for Cameroon to maintain a crooked electoral system than to have that system reformed. Until we get to that point, we would be turning in circles.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me get to Alex Leasing to weigh in on this. Do you see this ever getting effective in the Cameroon, Alex?
The point is, I don't want to be pessimistic, but to me, I always look at who is running Cameroon, who created Cameroon. France, Britain, European, they are running the country. Sometimes I just heard you talk about Mr. Eric Ginger coming to your program and say something. Mr. Eric Ginger is an individual. Somebody who was journalist in Cameroon. So when I see people, they come and talk on certain program, I just listen and I laugh. If you know, most people, they will often say, I'm controversial. I'm not controversial. I grew up in that system. I can tell you which seed will grow and which will not. I want to, let me intervene and send my greetings to Mr. Ijada and Comrade Thomas for your program. And to proceed, it is easy to come and sit on this platform. And I tell you that people should do this, people should do A. I call myself an activist because I will lead. And when I mean I will lead, in 2022, I was in Yaoundé protesting Douala Dirty Street. I will be in the Cameroon this year to protest. I will use their laws. I'm not scared of whatever will happen there. The only thing they can do to say, mate, don't enter this La Republic territory. Insofar, I will go there, I read their law, and I want to lead. Until we start to lead, nothing will change. And when I mean leadership, I am happy to be on your program and talk today. But when we talk to our people, let's go to French embassy in London, or in New York, in other European countries and go and protest. All these big people who come and sit on this platform, they don't bother, they don't come, they don't do anything. So it's different. I believe in action speak louder than words. I believe in going to the Cameroons if they lie. They put me in connect with the Ayub Tabe, Manto, BBC, and what? That is my own form of leadership. I can sit here and say, Chris Anno, why don't you do this? I'm not you. I'm not into your shoes. I don't know what you're going on in your life. If you want to be a leader, lead. That's what I'm saying. And we should be honest. From thy kingdom come, as things stand in La Republic Cameroon, nobody will ever win that government in the ballot box. And that is why, for close to 40 years, I believe I used the law Article 65. British Southern Cameroon must be free. These people, they surrendered their independence to France in 1959. We were not part of it. And I don't believe in international community to come and help us. I believe it is us. Even if it is one man fight, we will fight die, other people will come and continue. It is very important that we know this. I don't bother about La Republic in my life because I know it's a waste of time. The people running La Republic are business people from Europe, America. They are the one running it. They put people like Mr. Bian Bongo, they are just poodles. It is still Rio dos Cameroon, a Portuguese sugar slave plantation. Nothing changed. As you said on your book, these people, they encourage dictators to be there so that they can continue colonialism, imperialism, apartheid. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Comrade Sama, I guess what we are seeing in Nigeria is what the people in the international community, which I have quoted in my book as saying, they like to say, you are the only one to change your governments, to change your system. That is exactly what we see Nigerians doing out there, telling their parliamentarians and their senators, you have to make a law that decrees electronic transmission of every election result to the collation center, not manual transportation. Is that not what they are doing? And do you ever see that happening in Cameroon?
Well, Comrade Chris, let me appreciate what is going on in Nigeria. Kudos to them. And I believe, as an English society that believes in the rule of law, the lawmakers in Nigeria are going to listen to the voices of the people that are demanding what is good for the nation. But coming back to the banana or Napoleonic La Republique Cameroon, that people understand that the system doesn't know the rule of the law of the rule of law, it is not gonna work. Let me disagree with Metro Desingé and say hi to Metro Desingé, and I'm surprised for what Comrade Ejacha is saying today. He's welcome now. I am disagreeing with Metro Desingé on one thing: the issue of protesting in La Republique Cameroon. La Republique du Cameroon doesn't understand the strength of protest. They can crush even 1 million people on the streets of La Republique Cameroon, and the case goes nowhere. For that is how the system has been prepared to be appreciated by the system that kept them there, the Western powers. So, to hell with the citizens of that nation. The only way you can get rid of Mr. Paul Biya and the system in place is to fight them with the same weapon they are using against the people. Going out on the streets to protest against Mr. Paul Biya's system is a waste of time. It will kill and even cause a genocide like the Rwanda genocide. Nobody will point a finger. That is already happening in the southern Cameroons. Nobody is pointing a finger. So if the people of La Republique have the balls, they should get the weapon that the system is using against them. That is the only way you can bring down this kind of system. Thinking that you can protest that they should make electoral reforms and implement an electoral system of elections in that country is a waste of time. It will never happen till thy kingdom come if that system is not brought down with the same weapon they are using against the people. Secondly, anybody in that country, communities, that is calling on the people to go out for any elections in that country should be termed an accomplice of the system in place. For that person knows that he cannot change a pin in that system through the electoral box. So the citizens of that country should be prepared that when the Kanto is coming, Chiruma is coming, even Frundi exhumed from his grave is coming to tell you to go to the post because they are parliamentary and council elections. You go to the post because it is local. If it is possible, even kill that type of person who come before you, tell you that type of story. The only person who can come before you telling you a story in that country that will be of use, that can change your life, is that person that will come to tell you we need a rebellious force that will remove that system in place, fail to do so, to hell to our public.
All right, let's leave it there. We have much more ahead of us. I would like to take everybody back to Ambazonia, where this morning we learn of a massacre in Ntungbaw. Ntungbaw is in the neighborhood, same community with Ngarbuh, where 20 people were killed in the community in 2020 by Cameroon soldiers and buried in a mass grave. Waking up this morning, we learn of killings by the Cameroon army in the same community, and I'd like you to look at some of the images emerging from that Ntungbaw community, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, what you are seeing there, you are looking at the... Let me allow you to listen to that.
Charge now. Filing machine.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the images you're looking at on your screen are the images of civilians killed. Initial reports reported of 2 people killed. But as you can see on your screen, we have actually images of 4 civilians killed in Ngarbuh, in Ntungbaw, early this morning, breaking Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this reminds everyone of Ngarbuh massacre, which took place in the 2020, initiated by the Cameroon army. The Cameroon army, they have again done it again. They have done it again. You see the people there, they are gathered alone at the Fons Palace in Ntungbaw to mourn and to protest the killing of their people. This is so far the report that we have from there. And it says, shock and anger grip in Ntungbaw village late last night, that is Sunday night, after armed men widely reported to be members of the Cameroon's military allegedly stormed the community and killed at least 4 civilians. You can see their images on your screen. According to residents and immediate local accounts, the killings sparked spontaneous protests, as you can see on the screen, through the night and into this morning, as distraught villagers denounced the violence and demanded accountability. Funeral preparations quickly followed in the Fons Palace, with community leaders mobilizing mourners for burials set for today. Eyewitness accounts from Ntungbaw say that the incident unfolded shortly after dusk, when heavily armed forces entered the village without warning. Those present told reporters and local contacts that soldiers fired into residential areas, killing 2 civilians at gunpoint and others dying of sustained wounds. While we have the images, as you will later see, their identities have not yet been independently confirmed. Initial reports also alleged that several others were wounded and that homes may have been looted and destroyed. We actually have some of those images here. Residents, visibly shaken by the violence, immediately took to the streets in protest. Grieving family members carried banners and chanted slogans calling for justice while urging an end to violence in Amazonia. Community leaders said the public outcry was driven by both sorrow over the dead and years of frustration with recurrent Cameroon military killings that have taken a heavy toll on civilians in that particular community. The military has not yet issued an official statement, the Cameroon military, on the incident. In past cases, government authorities have often disputed initial accounts of civilian deaths or attributed them to combat Amazonia fighters. But in this case, residents say that say nothing. Do not accuse Amazonia fighters. They point direct fingers at the Cameroon army. By early morning, hundreds of villagers and residents from neighboring communities had gathered in Ntumbaw's Fun Palace, as you see there on the screen. Some supporters carried photos of the deceased, while others held placards calling for an end to military abuses and for greater protection of civilians caught between government forces and Amazonia restoration fighters. A solemn funeral procession, as seen in the video, was conducted today, where relatives, church leaders, traditional chiefs, and youth groups were expected to attend. The tragedy in Ntungbaw has reignited painful memories of the Ngarbuh massacre, one of the deadliest episodes of civilian killings during Cameroon's protracted Amazonia conflict. On February 14, 2020, uniformed soldiers, that is Cameroon soldiers, acting with armed militia, killed at least 21 civilians, including 13 children and one pregnant woman in the neighboring community of Ngarbuh, also within Ntungbaw village. That massacre drew sharp international condemnation. Eyewitnesses and independent investigation by rights groups such as Human Rights Watch concluded that Cameroon government forces targeted civilians, including young children, before burning homes and burying the victims in mass graves. The alleged killings in Ntungbaw this morning or last night appear to underscore a continuing pattern of insecurity and heavy-handed military operations in Amazonia regions, areas that have been engulfed in armed conflict and communal tension since 2016. The symbolic weight of Ngarbuh still hangs heavily in that matter over these villages. The earlier massacre remains a benchmark for grievances against the state and its security apparatus. As burials proceed in Ntungbaw and villagers continue to mourn, the national and international spotlight may again fall on the conflict in Cameroon's Anglophone or Amazonian regions. Whether this latest incident will prompt greater accountability, renewed negotiation efforts, or further upheaval remains to be seen. Sama Thomas, let me get back to you. Do you think for a moment that these killings in Ntungbaw will reignite international attention to the Cameroon-Amazonia conflict? Any hope?
I don't think the international community is going to do a thing so far as the killings in Ntungbaw is concerned. Had it been that the international commission was going to be of help to the people of Southern Cameroons, the incident of Ntungbaw now couldn't have taken place. But because they've closed their eyes to what is going on in the Southern Cameroons, La Republic can do whatever thing they would like to do and go free with it. The question we will ask now is, what are the so-called John Butes who calls himself Mr. Prime Minister, saying in the face of all the atrocities that they are committing against their own people. Then the next group of persons that I will direct these questions to is the guys who call themselves the House of Thieves. I don't know if it is House of Thieves or Chiefs, they are fighting that they have a house of chiefs. If this House of Chiefs or Thieves are they calling themselves a constituted body, they are chiefs representing what? Statues, representing a forest. If the same people you are seated there calling yourself a chief and having a certain institution called a House of Chief, what are they discussing there? What are the questions these people have asked Ngarbuh Cameroon about the predicament of their subjects? No, these things cannot keep on going, and these people who call themselves our traditional leaders are not saying anything, are not raising a finger at anybody. For them to be of help to the people of Southern Cameroons or their subject, that piece of sheep called the House of Thieves, or they say it's chiefs, should be dissolved, for they are of no help to their own subject. They've subjugated they've relinquished their power to the system that who call themselves duos, and the army that is roaming around the Southern Cameroons like a wounded lion to devour just anything they found on their path. So nobody is going to listen, or the international community is not going to intervene until the day these chiefs will align with their people to say we should get rid of this monster that are here to kill just everybody. Let me tell the thieves, or the chiefs as they call themselves to be what they are. When they will kill all your subjects, you will no longer be a chief. For the next person, the last person they will kill is you to take over the land.
Let me go to Kennedy there. These killings are becoming one so many in a particular community. Now, in this case, just as in the previous one, it is so clear the Cameroon army broke into a house with guns. That image, let's see, we have that picture, that video showing them showing the house. Okay, that is the image. You see, that is where they shot in with their guns. They shot into this house that you see here with their guns in Ntungbaw. Again, that was this morning. They shot in, went into the house, and the people in there began to shout. And the news went out about what was happening. Then people started gathering in the area. And once, we are told allegedly that when the Cameroon army heard people coming, they escaped. They came out of that house, escaped with their lives. Again, this is becoming one too many in one community. Ngarbuh is one place that has seen a lot from the hands of the Cameroon soldiers in this struggle. What can you say to the Cameroon government and the people of Ntungbaw and Ngarbuh, Kennedy?
Yeah, it's extremely heart-wrenching when we see the level of violence that is being perpetrated against the people of former British Southern Cameroons. And this time we are talking about Ntungbaw, that's the epicenter of this violence at this particular time. It's just beyond regrettable to say that we would have people who are supposed to protect the population become the perpetrators of dastardly violence against this population. Condemnation is very cheap an emotion to express or to say right now. And to the government of Cameroon, I would say they are in the full execution of a war that they waged against our people in 2016, starting 2016. This war is a deliberate war against the people of former British Southern Cameroons. Everything is done intentionally to decimate the population, and it is fast becoming something that could possibly qualify for a genocide, because there's no raison d'etre for this type of violence. Let's all remember that when this crisis started, it was just the civil society and the population standing up for their rights, because they had been abused, just like all other Cameroonians. All the 10 regions in Cameroon, people are fighting for their rights. But I don't know why the people of the Northwest and Southwest were put under such violence, unleashing the army, the special forces, in something that could have been resolved on the dialogue table. It was a civil issue. It was all about people's self-determination. Yeah, it was people saying we need to make sure that we have control of our communities. And as a federalist who strongly believes in power to the people, I don't see how this government turned the gun against its own people. And there we have that same army that is being sponsored by the resources of that land, by the taxes of the people, going out and killing. But I think beyond all of this, I like words, but it's suffice to say that beyond all of this condemnation that we can profess, beyond all of this, we need to look for a viable way to counter the regime, to create alliances, to be very strategic, because there is a way out. See, this is the truth that people don't understand. No army can win a war against its people. The people don't need to take even weapons to overcome an army as dastardly as the one that is being unleashed against them in Cameroon. We've seen that happen in other places. I mean, Hitler was furious. Hitler had all the military might that he had, but he could not break the back of the people. The range could not break the back of France. France that is dominating Cameroon by proxy right now. You know, the British were so strong, but they could not hold the Indians for long. Mahatma Gandhi rose up. In America, there was the white supremacists, extremists, who thought that blacks are less than humans. But it took the courage of people like Martin Luther King. It took the courage of people like Malcolm X. All of these great civil leaders, they came together. They nurtured the people. We need a nurturing of the people towards the type of resistance that cannot be broken.
And who is supposed to be nurturing the people?
We should be nurturing the people. We should be doing what we are doing. This is part of it. Now let's see. That's civil transformation comes through a structured approach with division of labor. Because I am very vexed in my heart when I hear people say that, oh, some people are ranting on social media, some people are doing this, that no, the solution is go down and go down on the field. No, that is a very parochial understanding of the system that can be put in place to break the back of a regime like the one in Yaoundé. It is very structured. Everyone has its role. Even this platform, if it is well utilized, if it is well acknowledged as a tool, can be a weapon. A weapon of mass destruction against the regime. Because what the regime does not like is the truth, is the nurturing of the people. That is why the regime is good at setting confusion. So when you come out with a plan to nurture the people, what does the regime do? The regime has to do everything to avoid you, to nurture the people. Because the greatest weapon that we can use against the regime is that of of sensitization. That's the greatest weapon, the dissemination of information. So this platform is an incredible tool that the resistance in Cameroon can use to break the back of the regime. But one thing that I see and I regret is that even actors that are partakers in this platform are the first to trash the platform as if it has no use. No, you have foot soldiers and you have the command center. The generals will not leave the command center and go and meet with the foot soldiers, or else the foot soldiers will lack a means of direction, because that means of providing direction is critical to the success of any meaningful operation. So let's always remember this. Let's not trash anyone, because the resistance should be structured with a division of labor where people have specific assignment, and it takes the whole cogwheel, all the cogs, to make the machine spin rightfully.
What does Maitre Lissingate think about this?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Again, once more, before I proceed, I would like to send my condolences to the friends and family of those who were killed in that part of the British Southern Cameroon. Yeah, when I sit on your program, there's something I always say: a word to the wise is sufficient. The wise people are quick to understand the situation. Before I was born, Chris, before you, Chris, I presume you were born, before Sama Thomas was born, and before Kennedy was born, there was somebody, a prime minister of British Southern Cameroon, Emmanuel Lifafa Endeli, said, joining La République du Cameroon will be a mistake. You have an uncertain future. They have different culture, different laws, different attitude. Gender brutality, he warned us. So I'm not surprised with what is happening now. I extend my sympathy to those people, but I am not surprised. I see Mr. Kennedy, you come on this program, you feel sorry, keep on feeling sorry. Your party was in bed with La République du Cameroon. I don't need to call them because the people are not here. SDF is part of that government. Bandam was vice president of what? National Assembly. That's a government, legislative house. So when we come and sit, we pretend when your government was part of the people who are killing the people, that you're pretending on this platform now. When I sit here, I talk. It's very important. And I sit here, I make it clear. I like debate, because when we meet face to face, we talk. I'm just saying, I can sit on this platform. Sama Thomas, Kennedy, Chris Island. Oh, we should do this. Then after that, we go, nothing will happen. So I believe in leadership. If I want to do my things, I don't need to say, Sama Thomas, please join me. I go to the High Commissioner of the La République in London and go and sleep there alone. People will come. That is my approach. I'm not saying that people talking here on this platform, we are not doing a good job. But I'm saying, like Mr. Chris just talked about, his TV is not satellite. Mr. Chris can shout on everybody on air, but he knows he's target the people who can assist him on this. That's what I'm saying. Just to say to everyone like that, people don't care. That's why I say actions speak louder than words. At the end of the day, I'm not surprised what La République is doing to our people. And at the end of the day, La République is like an agent. It's a fair state. And they know they are dying. But at the end of the day, France is having difficulty. Western countries are having difficulty. It is not a coincidence that Mr. Andre Marimbida was removed and a puppet Aijo was put there as the Prime Minister of La République du Cameroon. Why? To sign the French cooperation agreement. To say that we will manufacture your money. To tell you that we will control your socio-political orientation. To say we will control your educational system at all levels. To give priority to France, to your natural resources. It was an exchange. changing of the guard to say that, okay, you people, you don't want us to be in Africa. So what do? Okay, we'll put their own people there. They call it choke ice, coconut bounty. We'll put them there. You think you're independent. Why we pull the string from behind? Where on earth have you seen the country that have got independent? Then you bring the colonial master, you exchange flags. America will be celebrating 250 years of independence. They fought against the British. Did you see the British people going to America to exchange flags? Independence in Africa is wishy-washy. It's window dressing exercise. It's fake. We are not independent. We are not sovereign. Independent means you have sovereignty over your own affairs. The truth is, France is happy. When we sit on this platform, we say, oh, it's Biya which is the problem. They are happy. To me, if I want to fight them, I fight France. I look at the companies who are doing business in the Cameroon, in England. I know some of them. I go in front of their office. You are having blood money. It affects them more than to be pretending that is the 93-year-old person who is responsible for our problem. Because if you look at other examples, in other African countries, look at it, whether it's Togo or what, father to son, Congo, Gabon, all those African countries, they just exchange the same thing. We sit on this platform. How come that most of us, I presume most of us, we don't know Frank Biya? So why should some people even be suggesting that Frank Biya took over from Colombia? Who is he? I don't know him. What's he doing? What's his work? What's his education? So France are free. That's the system which we must understand, and we stand firm. I'm happy to come on this platform and talk. I'm happy to meet people of different opinions. But the point is, we should speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. I will not say call people's name because they are not here. I will not talk about certain people because they are dead. I know what they have been doing. If you are a leader of a political party, CPDM government gives you money to do this, do this, do this, do this. I was there, I saw it in front. National dialogue, what they do. Then you say you're a leader of opposition. If you don't have honesty, if you don't have conviction, if you don't have integrity, then we keep on blaming this.
Metro, if you can hold on to that line of thought, because when we get there eventually, I like us to focus a little bit on this massacre in Ntungbaw, and then after we can come to that. How about that? Do you think what we are seeing? Do you think what we are seeing in Ntungbaw will lead to the international community refocusing on the conflict between Cameroon and Ambazonia?
Listen, Chris, who is the international community? Those who enslave Africa, those who colonized, those who promoted apartheid. So I don't look at the international community as a moral compass or whatever. I've never looked at them like that. Listen, these people, they created something they call, how do you call it? United Nations. Me and you will create a United Nation. We defeated the Germans. We took a territory. We share it among ourselves. I don't see how we look. I've lived more than half of my life in London. Other people like you have lived there. These people are not more than us. Africa, that is the mother of all continents. Africa that have the first university on planet Earth. Why should we be relying on international community? Because we don't have nuclear weapons. They are not more intelligent than us. The problem is when we have our own people who start to talk. As Sama Thomas Topo, our chiefs, I know they are Putus. They are not really chiefs today. When you have your own people who don't talk, they only go to House of Chief to fight that. The car that I did, Yakumto was saying that I spent my money to fix it. So we have people who are not patriotic. They don't care about their people. I'm sure those funds in those days, they were better off. They think about their people. It's rather unfortunate that when it comes to the international community, nothing will happen. It's up to us. You can see example in Gaza. Close to 70,000 people have been killed. Where's the international community? Netanyahu is all that powerful, the powerful man. You go to Iraq, 1 million people, they were killed in Iraq. Nobody is saying anything. In Libya, 500,000 people were killed in Libya. Nobody is saying anything. You go again to, Syria, 500,000 people were killed, nothing. So sometimes, let's look at this fact and understand the world. We in Africa, they look at us as Las Coco. So these Arab people, they look at them as they're more superior than us. That's how they look at it. So if they can allow Arab people to be killed in Gaza, 70,000, then international community will concern with 4 people. They won't. That is my point.
All right, gentlemen, we will call it on this subject here. I would like to move you to the next segment of the show that has to do with Issa Chiroma's return, possible return to Cameroon. Maybe the question is, can he do it this month, or would it be this month? When we come back from the break, that would be the next subject to discuss here. Please stay put. I'll be right back.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricatv@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS.
The West lectures the world about democracy, then it bankrolls dictators. It condemns oppression, then it congratulates stolen elections. In this book, The Hypocrisy of the West, veteran journalist Chris Anu exposes the double standards that define modern global politics. From Africa to the Middle East and beyond, Western powers present themselves as champions of freedom, while quietly propping up tyranny in the name of stability and strategic interest. This book pulls back the curtain. Why dictators are rewarded after rigged elections. How human rights become optional when power is at stake. Why some wars provoke outrage and others silence. How selective justice shapes the global order. Written in a bold, direct, and uncompromising voice, The Hypocrisy of the West is not a theory, it is a reckoning. It challenges official narratives, names uncomfortable truths, and forces readers to confront a world governed by convenience, not principle. You should read this book if you have ever questioned why some dictators are sanctioned while others are celebrated. Get your copy of The Hypocrisy of the West today on Amazon. Read it, question everything, then decide where you stand.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying put. I take you to the main story of the night, where I bring you my talking point, my monologue. And of course, again, it is on the subject of one, Issa Chiroma's possible return to La République du Cameroon, and 2 elections, the so-called regional elections in La République du Cameroon. Issa Chiroma has said his party isn't going in for any elections. In fact, he's essentially saying no party in Cameroon should go in for any elections. But there is conflict of interest. Others, like the MRC of Maurice Kamto, say it is time to re-engage. Let's move on. We cannot focus everything around Issa Chiroma. Issa Chiroma says, no, not now. And this is my talking point. Cameroon's political landscape is once again drifting into uncertainty, defined less by clear timelines than by deepening divisions within the opposition and a ruling system struggling to assert authority. Council and parliamentary elections were initially scheduled for next month, that is, next month being March. Yet, as February unfolds, the regime in Yaoundé has failed to formally announce an election date. This silence has only sharpened tensions, exposing competing strategies among opposition parties over whether participating in the polls would advance democracy or simply legitimize a system many now consider politically hollow. At the center of this unfolding drama is the unresolved October presidential election. That contest or that election, whose outcome remains bitterly contested or disputed, continues to cast a long shadow over every political calculation in La République du Cameroun. For many opposition figures, the fundamental question is not whether elections should be held, but whether elections held under unresolved conditions can carry any democratic meaning. One of the most uncompromising positions has come from Issa Chiroma, the man widely acclaimed in the country as the winner of that October presidential vote. Issa Chiroma has stated without ambiguity that his political movement will not participate in any further election, while the presidential contest remains unresolved. For Issa Chiroma, ladies and gentlemen, the matter is existential. To move on to council and parliamentary elections, he argues, would amount to quietly abandoning his claim to victory and allowing what he considers electoral injustice to be buried by another election ritual. Chiroma's camp is insisting that participating now in the council and parliamentary elections would normalize an abnormal situation. His supporters say his refusal is not political obstinacy, but strategic consistency, a deliberate effort, they say, to keep the October election alive in both domestic and international legal forums. According to voices within his circle, that is Issa Chiroma's circle, developments are expected this February that could pave the way for his return from exile to Yaoundé, potentially reshaping the political equation. Whether such expectations materialize remains uncertain, but they underscore the belief within his base that the October election is far from settled. It is far from over. From this perspective, participating in new elections would dissolve momentum, they argue. Issa Chiroma does not want a scenario where his declared victory is overtaken by events, where time, fatigue, and new political circles quietly erase the unresolved past. Issa Chiroma's strategy is built on prolonging the legitimacy crisis, keeping the regime under pressure, and forcing a reckoning rather than accommodation. Yet, this stance is far from universally accepted or shared within Cameroon's opposition. Other political actors see danger in allowing the entire national conversation to revolve indefinitely around one unresolved election and one political figure, that is Issa Chiroma. Among them is Maurice Kamto and his party, the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, MRC, who have taken a noticeably different path as concerns this coming election. Kamto and his party have indicated their readiness to participate in the upcoming council and parliamentary elections, should they be convened. In fact, They are already campaigning. Kamto and his party, they are already out there campaigning, projecting themselves as the most organized and popular opposition force on the ground. Their argument is rooted in political pragmatism, endless stalemate, they believe, or they say, benefits only the ruling system. By engaging the process or participating in the elections, however flawed, Kamto hopes to convert popular dissatisfaction into institutional presence. This approach, however, is not without controversy. Critics argue that Kamto's participation risks legitimizing elections organized by a regime whose authority is already in question. Even if the MRC of Kamto performs strongly at the election, the likelihood of outright victory under current conditions is widely considered slim, in fact very slim. Participation, skeptics warn, could therefore serve a different purpose. That means stabilizing the system by providing it with the appearance of pluralism and competition where there is none. For Kamto, though, the calculus is different. He appears unwilling to allow Cameroonian politics to remain frozen around Issa Chiruma's unresolved victory. From his perspective, continuing to boycott elections in deference to October's dispute risks turning opposition politics into a waiting game with no clear end in sight. By going in as the Popular Party, Kamto seeks to reset the field, ending the October deadlock by shifting the battleground from contested presidential legitimacy to measurable electoral presence. This strategic divergence, ladies and gentlemen, reveals a deeper philosophical split within the Cameroon opposition. Chiruma's camp views legitimacy as something to be defended and recovered before anything else can proceed or any other elections can hold. Kamto's camp views legitimacy as something that must be continually contested within available political spaces, even if those spaces are constrained. One prioritizes historical correction, and the other prioritizes forward motion. Ironically, both strategies carry risks that may ultimately converge in unintended ways. If Kamto participates and loses under disputed conditions, his involvement could indeed strengthen the regime's claim to normalcy while marginalizing Issa Chiruma further. Conversely, if Issa Chiruma continues to boycott and litigate without tangible breakthroughs or tangible results, his claim could gradually lose urgency in the public eye, overtaken by new political narratives and new political actors. Hovering above these competing strategies is a weakening authority of the regime itself in Yaoundé. The failure to announce a clear election date, despite earlier scheduling, has fed perceptions of drift and internal uncertainty. Without a firm hand calling the shots in Yaoundé, even the elections themselves now appear suspended in limbo. This paralysis paradoxically benefits both opposition camps in different ways. One, it keeps Issa Chiruma's unresolved claim alive while preventing Kamto's participation strategy from being fully tested. In this vacuum, Cameroon's politics resembles a chessboard where no player is fully in control of the clock. The ruling system hesitates, wary of triggering backlash or exposing its own fragility. The opposition fragments, divided between confrontation and participation. The electorate watches, increasingly skeptical, unsure whether upcoming elections, if they happen at all, will represent change or continuity under a different label. What emerges from this, ladies and gentlemen, from this moment is simply a dispute over tactics, but a struggle over the very meaning of political engagement in Cameroon today. Are elections instruments of legitimacy or tools of containment? Is participation an act of resistance or accommodation? And can unresolved elections ever be resolved by moving forward without closure? Is that possible? For now, ladies and gentlemen, the answers remain suspended, much like the election themselves, until a clear authority asserts direction in Yaoundé. Cameroon's political future will continue to oscillate between unfinished battles and uncertain beginnings, with February poised as a month of expectations rather than a month of conclusions. This is my talking point for you today. Let me get back to my panel, ladies and gentlemen. Joining me from London is Maitre Alex Lisenga, and from Maryland is Kennedy Ijacha, and from Belgium, the Honorable Sama Thomas. Comrade Kennedy, I'd like to start with you, sir. You listen to me. Issa Chuluma is promising February there will be something. You know, I always have the privilege of talking to people who are very close to him. And some of the things I'm hearing is he is planning going back to Cameroon. I don't know whether going back to Cameroon would immediately change the result, the fraudulent result of the last election. But right now, the debate is whether to go or not to go for the next election, which is the council elections and the parliamentary election. Those elections supposed to take place next month, but as of today, no date has been announced. That is to tell you about the difficulties still going on within the current regime. First of all, do you see those elections coming up next month?
Yes, now the first thing is there is no difficulty going on with the regime in Yaoundé.
There is no what?
The regime in, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, do you say there is no difficulty going on within the regime in Yaoundé?
Absolutely, there's no difficulty.
Are you really serious?
I'm absolutely serious, because the regime in Yaoundé, they are leading with the narratives. They are managing the narratives. They are the ones giving the tempo right now. The regime in Yaoundé wants us to be discussing about elections that have not been announced. And the more we discuss about the elections that have not been announced, discussing about boycott and participation, we take away from the strategic plan that could have been in place to harness the population towards a debate on modifying the electoral system. I don't know why the opposition in Cameroon should be discussing about an electoral calendar that the regime has decided to manage at its whims and caprices. The regime will call this election when it
and they will win.
Exactly. If the regime calls this election today, they will win. If they call the election tomorrow, they will win under this same condition. You know, so this is what would have happened. Let me just analyze to you clearly. If the opposition was putting pressure and pushing towards electoral reform, there is one thing that the regime would have done. they would have already announced the date for that election, because that pressure would have meant that they are gaining grounds around reforming a system that, if reformed, is not going to benefit them. Now that the people are not even talking about reform, they're arguing amongst themselves about participation or boycott. The CPDM is happy about that. The regime is happy about that. Why don't we understand that? Now, coming about Mr. Chiroma's return to Cameroon, what difference is that going to make? It all depends on the package that is going down to Cameroon. Yes, there's a possibility that Issa Chiroma going down to Cameroon is going to create a great impact. And there's also a possibility that Issa Chiroma, still in Banjul, can harness the strategic effort that will still create that move that will shaken the regime. So, in all and all, it's all about what is the goal. If I ask you now, what's the goal of the opposition? It's clear. The goal of the opposition is either to participate in an election, because there is a section of the election of the opposition that is saying we want to participate, giving valid arguments. Yes, they are valid. The arguments are valid. There's always two sides to a story. No matter how it is in a debate, there always will be pros and cons. Even in the worst situation that you will face in life, there will be the pros and cons. The same thing, but boycotting. Yes, you will find some good reasons and some bad reasons for not participating. But at the end of the day, the crucial question is, what does participation or boycott bring in terms of paradigm shift? Because what we are expecting is that there should be a paradigm shift. And how do we acquire that? We acquire that again and again. It comes through strategic planning. What do? We have to control the narrative. Right up to now, the opposition in Cameroon has not been able to control the narrative. I mean, I'll cut it to say something about what one of the panelists said. I mean, I'm adult and matured enough to understand that I cannot hook somebody's life to somebody else. I saw somebody quoting Bandam and quoting SDF and everything, and trying to connect me by proxy to all of those people. I mean, it's beyond. It's beyond. Somebody did that. So I heard it. So it's beyond the frame. Why is it beyond the frame? Because I understand that as adults, we listen to people talk, we answer to people based on what they talk, and not by proxy, not by what other people have said and done. Otherwise, I could have on this same platform gone back and refer to that same person and say, okay, there are videos of you where you went praising the regime and doing things, insulting another part of Cameroonians, come, no go, and things like that. But do you know why I don't say that? Because I cannot impute on that person what is happening in Cameroon. No matter what he has done, I cannot impute it, because he has in no way contributed to the mayhem that is in Cameroon right now. So why would I waste my energy in pointing out somebody's action that does not affect realistically what's going on in the field? I am about the problems. I'm about the situation. I can go ahead and agree with people based on what they say, disagree with what they say. I don't need to know who their associations are. But so to circle back to what we have at hand, Issa Chiroma and his team, they've said severally on this platform and other platform that they have the narratives at hand. They promised that there was going to be some swearing in. I mean, let's be realistic. That swearing in never happened. They promised that they were going to name a cabinet. That cabinet never happened. They promised that they were never going to leave Cameroon. They will give their last blood. That was great. It never happened. They came up with some plans and started some ghost town. You know, the key is persistency. If these people are not persistent, adults, intelligent people, when they are not persistent, it brings in question their credibility. And then you start asking yourself, and it's valid to ask yourself the question, who is beating the drum? Because we see them dancing. Who is beating the drum? The person who is beating the drum, as to me, is the person that they are waiting on. They are dancing on somebody's tune. They are dancing on the tune of Mr. Bia, waiting on him. When he beats the cadence, if the cadence is, we need election right now, they will now move towards that. We don't need election right now, they will swing towards that. But how can they not come up and tell Mr. Bia, we need a reform of the electoral system in Cameroon? Why can't we tell him that? Why can't we say we have one point? All of opposition, stop everything that you're doing. Hold everything. We don't care wherever you are. But we need one point agenda, because we have identified this as the center, the epicenter of the problem. It is electoral reform. If they could all federate on one thing, it would not make a big difference in terms of their division and their differences. We see the differences.
Kennedy, I hear you, electoral reforms. Listen, Cameroon, remember, we have learned that they cornered Issa Chiroma and promised him 9 ministerial positions, promised him that after this round of election, there will be election reforms which he will participate in crafting. But the question is, you will agree with me that you revise the election reforms and put into the hands of the very regime. They are the ones who appoint the judges, who announce or who vet the elections. They are the ones who appoint the elected members, who declare the result of the elections. They are the ones who appoint the monitors, who officiate the elections. What do you expect?
But now, this is the issue. You have raised the issues that are at stake. And those are the issues that should be cleared out of that electoral system. I mean, I understand that we've had a lot of trouble in Cameroon, but I don't want to be utterly pessimistic. Because in Cameroon, remember, 6 people died in 1990 in Cameroon. Multipartism came back. In respect of all those people, there are some ways that people can come out. Let's teach a history of Cameroon and tell Cameroonians that there was a moment where Cameroonians came out in their numbers and they shifted against the Ntungbaw. We remember all this guy was in justice, in the Minister of Justice back there, from Benjamin Etoy, with his Ntungbaw, standing against the return to multipartism. Emma Bazil in Yaoundé. It's not as if there was no fight. The regime wanted to preserve the single party system. But let's teach Cameroonians that there was a victory that we snatched from the lion's den. We did some things. Can we ameliorate on those things that we did in 1990? Can we remake it in a better way? It's possible. That's my argument.
All right, let me turn to Sama there. We have heard, I think Eric Chinje was here a few days ago, and you mentioned something happening this month, February, and from my inside information, the chances are that Chiroma could be returning, or that there could be something. No one knows what that something is about, but that which could give him the powers he's been fighting for to become president of Cameroon. Sama, what are the chances that could happen?
Well, if it is true that Chiroma is going back to La Republique du Cameroon, there are 2 things in play. Chiroma has been compromised if he's going back to La Republique du Cameroon, because Paul Biya cannot relinquish power to Chiroma. Chiroma is going to accept the terms that have been given to him by Paul Biya's proxy, or by Paul Biya's mentor, which is Macron in France. So Chiroma is bound to accept. The second element in this that is pushing Chiroma to do what he's doing now is the situation that is going on now, the fragmentation, like Comrade Ijeka is saying, the fragmentation of the opposition, like Kamto, that Chiroma is calling for a boycott of elections. Kamto is going in for elections. So Chiroma is saying that if the same people that push me to this level are the same people that wants to betray me, let me just help them spoil everything. For me to help again in this scenario, had even these guys in La Republique are real politicians, they couldn't have been playing these games that they are playing the way they've been playing from time immemorial. There's something Professor Lumumba says, that the African man is short-sighted, that we forget so soon our history. Not even our history, our recent past, we forgot it today. Had it been these guys in Ngarbuh, Cameroon, were able to remember what happened in yesterday's election that we are talking about today, and previous elections that have passed, nobody in that triangle will be talking of going to the polls. Anybody that is talking of going to the polls in Ngarbuh, Cameroon, it's like Libby. You guys call him what Libby? To go and get for Pobia to give him one parliamentary seat, and he's in parliament calling himself an opposition figure. It's just like Joshua Osei, who is calling himself a parliamentarian. We don't know who elected him to be there, but he's a parliamentarian. So if Kamto is saying his MRC will go in those elections, what Pobia can do to Kamto is that Pobia will give Kamto Noon division, maybe Bamutus, and take the entire north for himself, go to Douala, and say, as Douala is, let me pick some few other guys who call themselves opposition figures and give them one seat in Douala and take the rest. How is that scenario going to help the situation even for the Kamto? If he's preparing because he has been barred from standing for elections, he doesn't have any representation in parliament or council. Let me prepare myself for upcoming, that future. Kamto is told to prepare himself for future elections. Are those future elections, even if you participate in those elections with one parliamentary seat, will such a sham guarantee you the way to the presidency in Cameroon? Is a no answer. So all these guys in La Republique that are talking of going to the polls, if they were serious enough, they will say, what happens to Chiruma? We are uniting with Chiruma, that we will fight for electoral reforms. We are talking with one voice, under one canopy, until the results of those elections that just passed are respected and electoral reforms implemented. There will never be elections in La Republique under the same governing system. Had it been they've taken that position, fine, but failure to do so. Anybody coming to campaign that is campaigning for you to vote him is an opportunist who wants to go to parliament. Every year he's given 45 million for his dressing, his house, his cars, and so on and so forth. His own, he had gotten his own interest in his pocket. Your interest as a voter is of no use to him. Do not be fooled by these people. They don't have your interest at heart. If they do, this is the time that they will defend it, that we should stand and fight for electoral reforms in that quagmire, or cause a rebellion to fight and remove the system in place.
Metro Lisinge, this is about political calculations about who is smart and who is not. The Kamto can understand that they cannot sit looking at Issa Chiroma until whenever he wants to show up to take over the claim of victory. And Issa Chiroma says, listen, if you guys go for election, it means that all this protest and campaign we carry out is gone and we're starting all over again. And he knows without going for that election, he will have no councillor or nothing, and he will be invalid as far as the political transition in that country is concerned. But at the same time, Again, we see Cameroon incapable of declaring when those elections are taking place in the first place. What is your take in all of this?
Yeah, the problem, what I see in the Cameroons is that people are repeating the same thing and trying to expect different results. We have seen John Fundi under the coalition for change. John Fundi won an election. We have seen Kamto came and say president-elect, Chiruma president-elect. So these are things that we have to look. But my point is, people don't go and look deep in Cameroon. If you look in Cameroon, the population of La République du Cameroon was, in 1960, was about 5 million approximately. British Southern Cameroon was almost there. I'm just giving.
It was 1.5 million. The Southern Cameroon was 850,000.
Yeah, you're right. I want to come there to something. Then in 1961, Southern Cameroon had 37 members of parliament. In 2026, we have 35. So you see, it's a dysfunctional system. Then when we joined them, they created, is it 50 federal ward whatsoever? They took 40. They gave us 10. So these are the things for 60 years that we would have been fighting to change. Like in the UK, we have what we call Independent Boundary Commission. It has got nothing to do with the government. They determine. You create members of parliament based on their population. So since 1960 or 61, we have got less. Those are the things. When we come and talk about Chiruma, Kamto was my lecturer in the University of Yaoundé. So these people, to me, I'm talking politics here, not personal family relationship. I don't see Chiruma like somebody who can run a country. I don't see Kamto, because at the end of the day, as Sama Thomas said, these people are there for themselves. They don't care. If they care, they would have been looking at what I'm talking about. How come that British Southern Cameroon had 37 members of parliament in 1961? Then in 2026, they have what? 35. So you for reform long ago. So it took Kamto, it took Chiruma more than 36 years. They are not seeing that. So these are the things. At the end of the day, the way things works in some of these African countries. If you look, when late Rale Odinga said he won the election in Kenya, they gave him the position of prime minister. Morgan Changera in Zimbabwe, first round he got 47%. Mugabe got about 43. Then there was going to be another round. Morgan Changera said, I'm not standing because of the government flag. So they made him prime minister. So to me, when you see all these things, it was already written in the card. I knew the only thing Chiruma can do. Chiruma will say, I'm coming back. We will say national unity to save their country for himself. So we have people who have been there for a long time, which they don't care about the country. I look at them sometimes, when we are at the heat of the moment, we're happy with what is going on in the youth. Like you say, Fundi, family friend, father, everything. I was with Fundi at his home. It's my person. But I distinguish politics with private life. So I'm saying this, telling me, Chris, when I'm saying Mr. Ejade, we were there in the national dialogue. I have a picture with you. We are just Sama Thomas, Chris Anos, and we. When you come here, say, mentally, you said this. Don't say that somebody said this. That's being dishonest. Because at the end of the day, when we talk here, it's English way, it's Anglo-Saxon way, we debate. Doesn't mean we hate each other. So at the end of the day, when you see some people say that come no go, do you know, Mr. Ejade, do you know I'm a prince from Balinyoma? Do you know that? So I ask you not to come no go to Balinyoma. Do you know that? When when you hear my name
No, but you
mentioned this thing,
said, I know that, but you said those things. You said those things.
I've
I mean,
never
we
said
cannot
it.
dispute them.
I have
No,
never
you said those
said it. You
things.
did not say. See, Chris Arnold, just permit me. If you have a video, put it there. The things I used to condemn was what Florence Ayafo was killed, and this other lady or whatsoever. I am a public speaker. I do politics for the last 30 years in England. I won't say rubbish. I'm a lawyer in England. I watch what I say. So if you come and misquote people in public, bring it here. Please sorry that I'm saying this here. I know what I say. All my
Okay, I've heard what you're saying. Let's just move on what's more important.
No, I wouldn't move on. I want to tell you 1 second. Listen, when we come on this program, I know where Samuel Thomas stands. I know where Chris Arnold stands. And I know your SDF. Stop talking about we opposition. Opposition doesn't mean all of us will have the same idea. There are opposition who support Paul Biya. You should stay where you belong. Stop hiding under the grounds of opposition. Tell us, where do you stand? You want federalism?
You know what? Let me tell you where I stand. Let me tell you, Chris, just hold on 1 second. Let me tell no, you ask the question. No, if you ask me a question, hold on. No, you ask okay, you ask me a question and you deserve an answer. You deserve an answer. That's how Anglo-Saxon do. When Anglo-Saxon ask questions, they wait for the person to answer.
When Chris
no, you ask, it's not Chris. It's not Chris, it's you. Let me answer you.
I know when Chris
no, you asked me, I didn't ask you a question. So if you ask me a question, if you ask me a question, if you choose,
you are the only one
I choose to ask me a question, so far that I answer.
All right, gentlemen. You cannot be speaking about each other because we don't know who is speaking. It's a good question. Kennedy, tell us, where do you stand?
Okay, this is
the last time I spoke with you, you were a federalist and one Cameroonese. Are you still there? Are both of your legs still there?
Hold on, this is where I stand. I stand in a party that was launched in 1990. 6 people were killed, and this party stood for federalism. If you go, you look at the manifesto of the SDF. It is power to the people. I stand in that creed, and that's what I have been fighting. I'm a consistent
Be precise.
person.
We are talking about form of state here. Be precise. We are talking about form of state.
I'm federalist. I'm federalist. I have it right there on my forehead. Federalist.
Are you any different? Are you any different from Kennedy?
Okay,
I thought you have always been a federalist yourself.
No, see. Okay, now, Chris, let me say this. No, you asked me a question. Let me finish. No.
Listen, wait, please. Let Kennedy finish.
Okay, so I am SDF as Weber was SDF. I am SDF as all of those that fought and died that freedom come in Cameroon. I'm not SDF as you describe Joshua Osei to be. I'm not SDF as you, and I say it publicly. He's the president of the party right now. He's a member of parliament. I have that boldness to say that I'm not SDF as he is. I'm not SDF as all those other people that you can count at. Because
that is confusing. That is confusing. You cannot. Hold on a second. Hold on a second there. You cannot say you are SDF but not as Joshua Osei. Do you vote a different way when the SDF go out voting?
Okay, now. So now this is Secretary Chris. The question you are asking is a fundamental question in that you water down the fact that we can all be in the same tent, but we have different persuasions under that same tent. You when you ask that question, it's the same as somebody who is entering government who stand and tells the other person from the other side who is Ambazonian that he's not Ambazonian. They are all Ambazonians. But they have different persuasions. They have different ways. They are Ambazonians that will not go behind you, Mr. Chris. That's clear. And they are Ambazonians, and they are SDF people that will not go behind Joshua Osei today. Joshua Osei, first of all, did not make 100% of votes in the SDF. So you cannot use Joshua Osei. That's why we say, take the discussion from the individual and go in principle. The question that you should be asking today is, why is the present leadership of the SDF deviating from the fundamentals of the SDF? because the fundamentals of the SDF has never changed. When you start asking the right questions, that is how you call people to accountability. You show the manifesto of SDF to Joshua as I show. I say, what you are doing now, this is not what is in the SDF manifesto. Are you judging me based on Joshua? Hold on. Are you judging me based on Joshua, or you are judging me based on the manifesto of the SDF? That's the question I ask.
Let's leave the SDF there, but let me go back to Alex Liesinger. You have always been a kind of a federalist, I believe, from day number one. Alex, you've not been an Ambazonian, right?
Wait, I don't use the word Ambazonia. I use British sounding Cameroon. Let me tell you something. I don't like to use names. I'll call you two names today. Long ago, when I was a teenager, Ayabacho, Ebenezer Akwanga, we took an oath in Boya. Back he used to be a teacher in Nisepoli. We took an oath to free Saudi Cameroon. I've never belonged to CPDM. I've never belonged to any political party in Cameroon. My fight have always been about Southern Cameroon. I will tell you, Bandi Sikausi is dead. When Mona Fonchane was the one signing those things to take them to the United Nations, that have always been my political activity in Cameroon. I don't talk about the form of name. My interests have often been seized. I was a teenager. Abemukong, we know. I was belonged to Human Rights Defense Group in the Stone House in Bamenda. We were the one we started on Human Rights Defense. So I've never ever belonged to any political party. My fight since I was a teenager was down in Cameroon, and it remains down in Cameroon. But I distinguish that I have friends, I have families who are SDF, who are CPDM, who are UNDP. I distinguish my family life with my political opinion, and I'm lucky enough that my family, they know me in the CPDM one. They know this is me ever since I was a teenager. The end is there.
All right, Sana, throw in your observation there, please.
Well, there is no question arguing about the CPDM, SDF, or whatever the position of Comrade Ejeka is not about the primary of the SDF. I think I have an original copy of that document with me now that I'm sitting here. The original copy of that document, the preamble, though they coined it then, was to fight for to fight against the marginalization of the Anglophone people. That was the SDF. And if you go again digitally into the SDF, the founding fathers of the SDF, there was not even a single Republican citizen there. But unfortunately, the leadership of the SDF in the person of Frundi thwarted that part of the SDF because it was to start off to fight for a federal system in La Republic of Cameroon and not as a national party. But when Frundi took it over to La Republic, the whole program crashed out, and his language was no longer corroborated with that of Albert Mukong. That was one of the reasons Albert Mukong has to leave the SDF. That was one of the reasons some of us, myself, loved the SDF. In 1995, I love the SDF. I said, I will never vote again for the party's ideologies have been thwarted and no more. So the SDF was formed for this same project that we are now fighting today. The question we ask ourselves is the SDF still what it was in 1990? The answer is no. As you rightly said, you don't understand Joshua Osei again, and he's the leader of the party. So your voice does not even count again. You can oppose Joshua Osei as much as you can, and it will end there. But the question is, where have we gone so far with the SDF and the people of the Southern Cameroons? No, they are taking us nowhere. I told Frundi, let me tell Mr. Ejeka, I told Frundi in 1992, during state of emergency, that Mr. Chairman, the SDF has reached the end of the tunnel and we cannot move forward again. Let us turn and face behind, for that is where our strength lies. I told him that the Southern Cameroon people are ready to fight for their freedom. Let us face it headlong and stop pretending. For the Francophones are not ready to fight for their freedom. And someone that is not ready to fight for his freedom, you cannot fight to liberate him. Fight to liberate yourself first. When you liberate yourself, you now ask him, do you want to be liberated? For me to help you to liberate yourself. If you think you can keep on fighting with him to liberate him, to hell with you. Where are we today? Frunti never listened to me in 1992 and kept on fighting for the Francophones. Where are the Francophones? They betrayed everybody. Is the SDFC an opposition party in that country? The answer today is no. So we shouldn't be wasting our time with those people. That's why I said, Ngarbuh politics, we should keep our hands off it. Let the people of La Republic deal with their situation. We have us in our hands today. We are dealing with it, which is the liberation of Southern Cameroon. Let them deal with their own situation. We are only talking now about them because I want to help them help themselves. I want to bring out the that has been in us to impact it on them to help themselves. We don't need their help.
All right, let's leave it there, gentlemen. Let's leave it there. And before we open the phone lines to hear from our listeners, I'd like us to talk a little bit about ABS. I know Alex Lissinger brought up the idea of supporting ABS, and I know that Kennedy also mentioned about how important this platform has been, and not just to Ambazonia, but equally educating Cameroonians. We do so through satellite television. We have been on satellite for the past, I think this is going to the 5th year, but recently, gentlemen, we have really been struggling to stay on satellite. For since the beginning of the month, ABS has been off satellite. And I want you to help me explain to our people the importance of what we do here. We do not just come here to sit down and let people know how knowledgeable we are. We are actually empowering people. Let me share a story that I learned very recently, very recently. There is a commissioner up north. I don't know whether it's Marawa or Garawa or something like that. That commissioner comes from Ambazonia. And recently in one of the meetings with their family members, you know how all of us have these WhatsApp forum, family forums. And so this guy was in one of their meetings telling their tribal members, I don't want to call it tribe so that the man is not figure out, but he was telling his people that, listen, Chris Anu and ABS, they are a nightmare to the country at this moment from day number one. In fact, he said, every time we are coming on live, they receive instruction because they work, within in the security circles in the country. So they said every time we are coming on live, they receive phone calls to go watch and listen, and right after they listen, they hold a security meeting to discuss what we discuss here on ABS. And I'm sure you've heard also several times Eric Chinje say on this channel, they are listening to what we say. I had an interrogation with an FBI agent who came to interview me. That was probably about 4 years ago. And he said they have a desk in their office that listens to every show that we produce here that is live. That is how powerful what we do here. We do not make any profit here. We just struggle to pay the bills, to pay the satellite. But if we cannot keep it going, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to lose this very powerful tool that we have at our disposal. I want to assure you what we do here sometimes can be more potent than an AK-47. Because a struggle without a voice that is listened to is as good as nothing. And so I really want to make a heartfelt appeal to every one of you watching and listening to us today. Can you please help us, support us to turn back satellite on ground zero in all of Africa so our people can get this important information we're bringing to you? Comrade Kennedy, I will let you come in here and weigh in and share the thought you began before, and then Kennedy and Sama.
Yes, Comrade Chris. I mean, that's really a heartfelt appeal, and I join my voice to yours in pushing for this appeal. People should understand that in democracy, there are four estates. We can call it four powers. I mean, it's always three, but there is a fourth power. That's an invisible power that has a lot of potent, and that is the press. The power that the press have. You want to compare it to an AK-44. It's way more than a B2 in a situation where people are being ostracized, people are being silenced. Having a vibrant press is critical. If regimes fear anything, they fear most the free press. That is why the regime, if we have a platform like ABS that opens its microphone to everybody, even those of the regime, those that it agrees with and those that it doesn't agree with, that is an example of what we should promote, and we should make everything. So anybody that's listening to this, it's a cry from the heart. I mean, I said it when I was talking and highlighting the importance of this platform without even knowing that the platform is going through this. I mean, if we don't have ABS, it's going to create a huge dent back down in the southern Cameroon. We've been fighting for the free press. I, for instance, I'm somebody from the media. That's my history, and I know how important it is. And when I joined this struggle, one of the cardinal points that I say I'm going to fight for is for the freedom of expression, where Sama Thomas can come in, Lissinger can come in. We have different. We are under the same umbrella, even though we have different shades of opinion. He will say it's not La République. I say I'm La République. I'm La République with a vision for self-determination through federalism. What a great thing to be on a platform and have this kind of conversation with a brother who says, no, he's not from La République. I mean, that's what the BR regime will not accept. So anything that preaches the contrary of what ABS is doing is just a mirror reflection of the regime in Yaoundé that we are fighting. So please, put your hands in your pocket. Let this media, let this platform thrive.
Thank you. Alex Lissinger, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. What you're saying is not something that I'm surprised, because in the Prime Minister's office, they have a place. Wherever you talk, they get all the information. And it to be the same thing. But it started us because we want to talk. And if you see some of the things I learned in this colonial education, they put colonial education. I learned about Voltaire, Thomas Hobbes, Montesquieu, Denis Diderot. These are people who caused trouble until they have the French Revolution. They were talking. So I know the power of talk, and that's why I always talk. Whether it's one person who listen. But unfortunately, this colonial way we're brought up in Cameroon, people don't see the importance of people talking. Like sometimes you have this, your ABC TV. Sama Thomas is there. Kennedy is there. When we talk, people say, oh, these people, they lack things to do, they don't have work, they don't have job. This is a job. We are working. We are changing the Cameroons. Goya University did not fall from the sky. Dimabola, Benjamin Etue, he said he doesn't want multipartism, but he wants to be a senator. So we are doing a job. They criticize us, but they want something. So I understand what is happening and I understand your pain. The problem, unfortunately, is either somebody has got the money to contribute or you support it. It is very important for people to know that. I feel sad that we come from Cameroon. The people who fight, example, who were fighting because university students were meeting. We were fighting because lawyers and teachers were meeting. I saw some of them on their knees by Sangalong meeting Anglophone lawyers in Southern Cameroon. That is why I went to the street. But at the end of the day, people don't know that we have to talk. They just want the position. Then they call us, our new name is what? Diaspora. They call it, that's our name now. We are not from that, the Cameroons. We are diaspora. So that's the problem. That's the danger. And at the end of the day, some of us, we are on what? Self-exile. I prefer to be jumping the trees in Africa than to be where I am. But they don't understand. So at the end of the day, I appeal to people on the program, contribute, listen, argue, debate, and come out to, come out with a solution. I was happy, Chris, I saw you put BBC there. At the end of the day, the UK Prime Minister must go. You are not above the law. That's the system I want to see in the Cameroon. When the people don't want you, they are free to say, resign, Prime Minister. He's there negotiating, seeing people, seeing this. That's what we want to enjoy. Politics is not about hatred. It's not about hatred. That's what I want to see in South Cameroon. If by Republic, they don't want it, then they do their friends thing in their own side and we do our own. We debate, we argue, we do. It's normal. There's somebody, the Labour leader in Scotland, he said, oh, Prime Minister is my great friend of what, then he said you should resign because I'm the leader of Scottish Labour Party and I need to win election. That's how democracy is. So we need this in British Southern Cameroon. La République de Cameroon is free. So it's nice for us. When we come on this program, we should debate. I should challenge Sama Thomas. I should challenge Kennedy. We challenge each other, those people will hate. When you challenge each other, you come to a conclusion. That is why this is very important. Thank you.
And that is why ABS is very different, Comrade Listen. This is the only channel where you will find people with different, diverse opinion coming on to say what they have to say. And we don't care, we don't censor them, we don't say, why do you say that? We'll bring even CPD, I will bring even Paul Atanganji here. Can you imagine having Paul Atanganji here responding to questions from Chris Adu? So only ABS can do that. And that is why I'm really appealing to all of you watching, listening out there. They say, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, and that is what we are doing here. We have established that we are capable of bringing change through this platform, but I am appealing to you, help us to keep it for ground zero. If it was left for the diaspora, YouTube will be fine, Roku will be fine, we will stay on it, but listen, we are not doing it for us. We are doing it for Africa, for Amazonia, and for Cameroon. And so I am really appealing to you. ABS is not being watched live now on satellite because it was shut down, disrupted for financial reasons, and I am really appealing to you. I know there are more than 20 people watching, more than 20 people watching who can say, Comrade Chris, you know what, I will send in $100 to support you turn back ABS on satellite. Let me explain why it is very critical on the ground. The people in Africa do not have the luxury of unlimited bandwidth internet that we have in the diaspora. Here we have unlimited data, unlimited plans. But a man in Africa has to buy a plan for maybe 1,000 francs or 1,000 naira, and then you use it in a certain way. You can end, it can be over in a day, and then you have to go buy again. And so they don't have the luxury to come sit on the social media and watch us for 1 hour, for 2 hours. And so that is why the satellite becomes very, very critical for them. All they need to receive satellite is their satellite dish. They buy it once, they own it, they never have to buy or pay for anything. And ladies and gentlemen, we are being watched in Africa with over 90,000 households. 90,000 households. Those figures, we get them from the satellite company that carries this channel. That is how important it is. So please, I am appealing to you. I'm appealing to you. If you can call in and say, Chris, send me. Actually, the number on your screen is also a good for Zelle. The number on your screen is also good for Zelle. If you are in Europe and you want to contribute, you can use PayPal. You can use PayPal, and what you will need to do is go to absafricatv.com, and on that page you click the donation button, the donation button on the top right, and you are able to make a payment through PayPal. Again, go to absafricatv.com. Click on the donate button on the top right, and it will lead you to PayPal to make a donation if you want to use PayPal. If you're in Canada or in Europe and you want to contribute, but 20 people, ladies and gentlemen, 20 people will get our satellite turned back on the ground if you can today. Donate $100, just $100 to ABS. Again, it is very important. I state here, we make no money out of this. We are not paid. I am not paid to do this. I do this for the passion. I do this for the cause. I do this because our people need to be free. So please, the only way you support what we do here is once in a while when we make these appeals to say, Chris, I can send you $100, and the Zelle number is right there on your screen. And again, if it is PayPal, go to the website ABS Africa TV, hit on the donate button on the top right, and pay through PayPal. Sama, let me get back to you on this subject, please.
Thank you, Comrade Chris. I am very surprised. That is why these people in La Republique, I don't even understand them till tomorrow. They don't even know the tools you can use for your own struggle to liberate yourself. So why am I surprised? I'm surprised with the fact that a party like Chiruma's party, like Kamto's party, and any other opposition party in La Republique Cameroon haven't seen an opportunity in what ABS is doing to step in and say, if we cannot use CRTV and other major houses in La Republique Cameroon as free as the ABS is, let us try the ABS and also part of our political program within ABS. Most importantly, Chiruma's party. And if these people haven't come to that realization, then I wonder what they are really out for. They are not serious at all. But that notwithstanding, I am pleading to all people of goodwill who will contribute anything. Don't say 10 euros or $10 is too small. If that is what you can contribute, please do just that. I will be sending something tomorrow through one of our people to get to you for my own support.
That is very much appreciated, Comrade Sama. Okay, while you are trying to reconnect, let me say that again, the number on your screen, 346-401-3280, is good for Zelle. If you want to Zelle in your support, please use that number. Use that number to Zelle in. You want to use PayPal if you are in Canada or in Europe, go to absafricatv.com. Hit the donate button on the top right-hand side, and it will take you to PayPal to make a donation. Sama, go ahead, please.
Yeah, like I was saying, I will send my own contribution tomorrow via one other comrade here. But my plea is that other people, particularly Southern Cameroonians, if the Chirumas cannot see the importance of the ABS, as a Southern Cameroonian, we know the importance of the ABS. Let us do something to keep ABS running. I was surprised when I called my people back home. They were saying that they watch me, but they always hide their they hide their faces.
Why?
They don't want to recognize the fact that they know me. If they ask them who is that, they don't know it. But they never miss watching ABS when ABS is on air. So I am pleading to all of us that we should do something to see that we sustain ABS for the watchful audience of our people back home. We are using it to educate them, not only them, but also our adversaries.
All right. Again, the phone number is there on the screen for you to make a Zelle donation. If you make a donation before the show is over, just screenshot your receipt and forward to me by WhatsApp, the same number on your screen, so that I can acknowledge your support, your contribution. Please do that so I can acknowledge your contribution. For the moment, we will open the phone lines. For those of you who want to contribute to the show today, it is the same number on your screen, so go ahead and call if you have a contribution to make. Go ahead and call that number and make any contribution to the show that you want to make. All right.
Give the pen pal information.
In the meantime, if I may ask, Maître Lisinga, do you see the AU capable of doing something that can, because we are learning that the AU is about intervening in the Cameroon case this month of February at their gathering in Addis Ababa. But my question is, what are they able to do? They do not have any pedigree of rescuing any African country. Give me your thoughts on this.
The starting point is what? The Constitutive Act of the African Union, which is what? It's their constitution. They say, oh, there should not be any coup d'etat, they should not accept. They select the count. There's a coup d'etat in one is public. There's a coup d'etat in Chad. Who is sponsoring the African Union? The European Union. So when I look at all those things, they are just Organization of African Unity was better off than African Union. They just copy and paste because you have European Union. European Union started with some countries. They said, okay, we have the Copenhagen Agreement, respect of minority rights, capital market. This is the same condition. When we just go European Union, we take all dictators, we put them together. So you see, we just copy and paste. And at the end of the day, if you ask my opinion, I read their own laws. They are like La République. They don't respect their constitution. They call it Constitutive Act of African Union, which is the constitution. They don't respect. That's my opinion. People who don't respect their own law. What do you want me to say? They cherry pick. Okay, this man made a coup d'etat. It's the Europeans. The West are just supporting it. Okay, so we will not intervene. So they choose where to intervene. So to be honest, look at Mr. Biala, most of these African countries, they call here or whatever for advice. They have been doing it that they ask him, what is your secret to stay in power for 40 something years? So that is their job because most African presidents they want to stay in power till their kingdom come.
All right. Kennedy, any opinion on this subject of the African Union meeting to discuss La République, the stalemate in La République du Cameroon?
I think I cannot expect anything from the African Union. If the Banjul courts went right up to the point of recognizing the self-determination of the people of Southern Cameroons, but nothing was done towards, getting that implemented. But I mean, because the Banjul courts, I mean, it's still, it's under the African Union. So I just think they are toothless bulldogs, and giving them even that recognition of toothless bulldog is over considering because at least the bulldog will bark, but they not only can they not bite, but they cannot even bark. Bark means, it's a dissuasive tool that the dog has. We saw what happened to Gaddafi. Gaddafi was ready to give everything to lift up Africa. Gaddafi was ready to put the treasury of Libya in play to have an African monetary fund. Gaddafi was on the continent. He was the greatest founder of the African Union, but these guys allowed him to be slaughtered. And then, it's the despicable. BI is still going to be there, despite whatever rant we are hearing that the African Union is going to do this or that. Again, the onus for change in Cameroon is on us, it's on the political leaders. And I'm going to pick back on something very important that Comrade Sama Thomas made there. Maybe people did not even, get the essence of that. But in a way, Comrade Sama, your statement that you made about your surprise that the Chiroma team cannot even stand behind this network when we know how much of importance Chiroma daughter, I saw her when they started their movement. She was on this platform a couple of times. It's one of these. It's one of those platforms that, irrespective of where the leadership of this platform stand, it gives voice to everybody. So now, why do we leave the tools that we have that we can use? If you give relevance to yourself and people respect you based on the relevance that you give to yourself. We cannot go and be crying to the African Union when we don't even give relevance to ourselves. When you sit and this all that you make is opportunistic, we cannot have an opportunistic opposition. We must have an intentional opposition. When you are intentional in life, people respect you because people know that you know what you want and they know that you know where you're going. A whole opposition that is like this, you ask them, what's your communication tool? And they'll be the first to run that people are not supporting them. But what did you do with the support that you receive from ABS? And then this channel, it's just one that we are experiencing. So that's why I say, to be honest, with all respect that I have for those people who claim that they are opposition people, personally, they are accomplished people in their personal lives, but they are usurpers, and the public, in the eyes of the public, I see them as usurpers because they are putting themselves in a position that they truly don't believe in. I mean, if you guys watch Ben Modo, I don't believe in that guy, not even the least. But he's somebody that was co-opted. with the Rebecca. When I saw Ben Modo with Rebecca Inonchong and Eric Chinje, it was appalling. But what he said is even telling. He says that during the campaign, he spoke with a leader of the so-called opposition, who said that his goal is not to go to the presidency, is to just make noise during the presidential election to prepare for the legislative and municipal elections. But when you saw this person talking to Cameroonians about the presidency, you would swear that this man is serious about going to Ituri. Unfortunately, I mean, he didn't go to the point of naming who this leader was. But what he said is very true of the political leaders in Cameroon. So African Union just knows who they are joking with. They know that Cameroon is not going, the opposition people, they're not going to do anything. So nothing is going to come out from it, Secretary Chris. That's what I'll say.
All right, thank you. Sama, a quick one, and then we'll round up, please.
Yeah. Professor Lumumba will ask, is it even a bulldog? It's not even a bulldog, for it doesn't bite. That's a club of dictators who go and sit and plan how they are going to rig the next coming elections in their various countries. When they rig it, they come to they sit there, they call themselves president-elect. But these are the same people that have been causing a coup d'etat or carrying out coup d'etats in their various countries repeatedly. Paul Biya has done that, Museveni has done that, Kagame has done that. All of them are military, are in power through a coup. But when they see a guy like Traoré in Burkina Faso, they will call him a dictator. That is even a Democrat for people. His people are behind him, so he's not a dictator. A dictator is a person like the guy of Ivory Coast and Paul Biya and the rest. But to make it short, the AU is not even a toothless bulldog. It doesn't back. It's a dead organization that no one can run. What can someone explain to the world that the Southern Cameroon's Communication 266 disappeared in the archives of the AU, and you think that type of organization, it doesn't exist.
All
so
right.
nothing can come out from there.
All right, gentlemen, I am so thankful for you being part of the broadcast today. We'll call it a night here. When next we come on, it's going to be a really powerful debate on the subject. Would we be better? Would the Southern Cameroons be better if he had chosen to remain with Nigeria? On the event of the so-called Youth Day or 11 February in La République du Cameroon, we're going to have the opportunity to have this very, very heated debate in the next broadcast. I hope that I'll be able to get some of you to be part of this. That will be on Wednesday. All right. Okay. Thank you, Metro Liseng, Sama, and Kennedy. It was a pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for this.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying put. Again, before I go, I want to make this strong appeal to you to please consider supporting ABS. Consider supporting ABS. We need your help to turn it back on for people watching by way of satellite in Africa. Please, 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 we need it. And if you can do so, if you can help, the number on your screen is the number you use to Zelle any support. The number on your screen is the number. It is good for zelling support to ABS so that we are able to turn back satellite on ground zero. Again, if you are in Canada, in Europe, and you would like to support by way of PayPal, all you will need to do is go to the website absafricatv.com. absafricatv.com. hit the donate button on the top right of the website, and it will take you to PayPal, where you can easily make a PayPal donation. ABS is currently not on satellite, and so people in Africa, but in Amazonia in particular, are not able to watch. And the reason we do this show is not because we make any money out of it. It is for those in Africa, but most particularly in the southern Cameroons and Cameroon and Amazonia too. Again, the phone number is there. That number is good for Zelle. Go ahead, make a donation. If I can have just 20 people who can donate $100, 20 people who can donate $100, we will get ABS turned back on the next day. Thank you for tuning in. I look forward to being back here again on the Wednesday, and as I promised, it's gonna be a very, very heated debate, You don't want to miss it. Would Amazonia or the Southern Cameroons be better if we had joined or remained in Nigeria? That will be the debate for the next show. Good night and God bless.
The West lectures the world about democracy, then it bankrolls dictators. It condemns oppression, then it congratulates stolen elections. In this book, The Hypocrisy of the West, veteran journalist Chris Enu exposes the double standards that define modern global politics. From Africa to the Middle East and beyond, Western powers present themselves as champions of freedom while quietly propping up tyranny in the name of stability and strategic interest. This book pulls back the curtain. Why dictators are rewarded after rigged elections. How human rights become optional when power is at stake. Why some wars provoke outrage and others silence. How selective justice shapes the global order. Written in a bold, direct, and uncompromising voice, The Hypocrisy of the West is not a theory, it is a reckoning. It challenges official narratives, names uncomfortable truths, and forces readers to confront a world governed by convenience, not principle. You should read this book if you have ever questioned why some dictators are sanctioned while others are celebrated. Get your copy of The Hypocrisy of the West today on Amazon. Read it, question everything, then decide where you stand.